Hello and welcome to the hardest plane for newbies to learn. Hello and welcome back to another RHS Bad Company tutorial. Today I'm revisiting the A-10. Now you might be wondering why I'm doing another tutorial video for this plane when I already did one nearly 2 years ago now, Jesus Christ. Well, it's because I missed a few things in that, and let's be honest, that video was completely rushed and half-arsed. I mean, you might have not noticed it, but it was very obvious to me. And of course, after flying this thing a few hundred more hours in Arma, and also flying it for quite a while in DCS now. Come on then. Oh.
Ah! Hold
Oh.
up.
Oh.
No!
Oh shit. Oh. I have a much better understanding of how things work and what things are doing and etc, etc. So, without further ado, let's get into the video. This time I will try and structure it a bit better, just to make it that bit easier to follow along, because I understand this vehicle is probably the hardest plane to learn on the server. So yeah, hence why you're here. If you would like to practice in the editor with this plane, I will put a screenshot here for the loadout that is being used in the server, so you can familiarize yourself with the weaponry you will actually use. Do note, I don't personally know how to get away for the AI to laze targets in the editor for you, so you might have to practice laser guided weaponry in the actual server itself, so yeah. Anyway, I would like to start this video the same way I did the last one, the weapons. So this will just be a quick overview of what's actually at your disposal. I won't go into crazy detail just yet, that's for later in the video. Let's work from left to right. AIM-9Ms, these are heat-seeking air-to-air missiles, these aren't for ground use. M151, unguided high-explosive rocket pods, plural, because there is one on the other side of the aircraft, giving you a total of 14 rockets. They are great for dealing with infantry clusters, and these are guided from your heads-up display via the CCIP marker inside the cockpit. Mark 82 500-pound bombs, you get 3. These are unguided and use the CCIP on the heads-up display for guidance, the same as the rocket pods. GBU-12s are the laser-guided version of the Mark 82s. You get 4 of these. These are my personal favourite for how safe and effective they are. Great at gliding at a long distance as well. AGM-65E Mavericks. These are laser guided. They are very fast and effective at dealing with things at a distance. Rocket pod, again, same as the other side, just another pod. This is the jammer pod. It doesn't actually work in Arma. This would be used to jam enemy radars to make it just a little bit harder to acquire a lock on you. But like I said, it doesn't work in Arma 3, so it's just there to make you look cooler. So yeah, that's the weaponry. Oh, wait a minute. The 30mm. Yes, this thing isn't as good as you might have hoped in this mod. It seems the ammunition is just mainly armor piercing and RHS, or at least that's what it feels like. Doesn't do hardly anything explosively, but yeah, it's good against the lighter armored vehicles, just don't count on it against infantry. Okay, so that's all the weaponry. We will go over how to use each in this video soon, but let's first understand your main threats. Note, these are threats exclusive to the RHS Bad Company server if you're watching this tutorial as someone else on another server. First of all, we have the 50 cal Dishka. Now this can be static or technical, and yes, this can be a threat. Don't laugh, he is trying. If you're close enough to this thing, it will actually be quite effective against taking some of your components out. Not 100% sure of its range, I'm pretty sure it's around that 1 kilometer mark. Second, the MANPAD. MANPADs, Man Portable Air Defense System. These are the men using the air-to-air heat seekers known as the IGLA. This thing has a range of 2.5 kilometers. This thing still gets me to this day. There is no hiding from it when you're in that range. Just spam those flares as much as you can, if you do find yourself in that kill zone. Third, Shilka. You might be asking, wait, this server has Shilkas? To that I say, sit down son, let me tell you a story. Yes, Shilkas do exist. They actually used to be the main AA threat a few years ago before the Tigris was also added to the RHS server. Bloody up for budgets. Anyway, this thing has a range of 2.5 kilometers as well, though its radar can lock onto you further, but you're safe from its guns if you're outside of that 2.5 kilometer distance. A rare vehicle to see on RHS, but a welcomed one. Fourth, the Tigris. A max lock-on range of 4.5 kilometers. Now, a common misconception I see is people take that range very literally, but they forget the AO marker is actually in the center of the AO. So imagine if the Tigris is actually closer to you than the center of the AO. See what I mean? So to be safe, we will call this thing's max range 5.5 kilometers because of how fast the A-10 travels across the map. If you're within 5.5 kilometers and the HQ is still up and not been downed by the engineer yet, then just abort your run and re-engage outside that range again. It ain't worth the risk, boys. 5th, air assets like the MiG-29 and SU-25. Their range equals good luck. Nah, but honestly, if these things are in the air, just avoid them. Land back at base and wait for the lightning to deal with them. The A-10 modern Arma isn't really designed for dogfighting against air threats. It stalls in tight turns and yeah. But of course, if you need to engage these planes, then go for it, but don't expect a good outcome. So these 5 things, yes, even this little gremlin, are your main threats. Now before we move on, I would like to point out something I actually missed in the last video. Your RWR. Yes, you actually have one, contrary to popular belief. It's what it says it is. An RWR stands for Radar Warning Receiver. If you're being locked on by a radar, it will scream at you. But you will find on this server, most threats are heat-seeking, so you won't actually know you're being launched on until you obviously feel that strange bump behind your cockpit and the abnormal amount of smoke coming from the engines. This is why it is best to spam flares when within those heat-seeking ranges. This includes the Tigris because its missiles are heat-seeking, not radar. Yes, the Tigris has a radar, but its radar is for its gun tracking, not its missiles. It won't lock onto your aircraft with its radar, but you can see its tracking radar on your IDOR. I thought I got rid of it. You can see its tracking radar on your RWR as shown here. It's an A inside a diamond, A standing for anti-air. Do note, this will also pick up the friendly CRAM at the base, so try keep note of your directions so you know if there is actually a threat or not. Okay, that's the common misconception cleared up. Let's talk about countermeasures. CM burst fires flares in a burst. Timed fires flares in 1 second periods. Timed 16F/4S fires 16 flares through 4 second periods. Now which one should you use? CM burst. Yes, this will cause you to rearm the most, but at least you get to rearm rather than dying and wait for the hog to respawn. Now remember, you only need to use the flares when inside those aforementioned threat ranges. Flares will obviously only work against the heat seekers, so Tigris and Manpads and also the enemy aircraft heat-seeking missiles. They won't work against anything else. Now, do also note some of the aircraft, well I say some, the MiG-29, it has radar guided missiles as well, so if it shoots a radar guided missile at you, then yeah, you're dead. Okay, so heads up display. I will first go over the key things you need to know about the HUD, or the heads up display. So let's start with the basics. This symbol here is your flight vector. This indicates where you're actually heading. It is your true point of flight. The quote-unquote ladder is your angle of attack, or in other words, AOA. This also shows here when you're in master safe mode. This is obviously the time of day. This is your radar altitude. It is in meters, not feet. This is your speed. It is calculated in kilometers an hour. And this is of course the aircraft's current heading. I will now move on to each weapon and their HUD appearances individually for ease of coming back to this video if you ever need to. So first is the AIM-9M. The best way to use this missile, and really the only way, is to get below your target so there is no desert behind them. The ground will actually confuse the missile seeker in this map. Whether it's intentional or not, it's a thing we have to deal with. So best way to gain that lock is to dip below and behind the target. Note this also works for the Apache's ATAS missile. So going over the HUD here, you want to place your target inside this little circle. When there is only sky and you're in a good spot, press T to lock the target, then simply fire when the diamond comes to a close. Next are the Hydras. Pretty simple stuff. These are best against vehicles like the Technical and squads of infantry. You can see the CCIP marker here. This crosshair is constantly computing the range for the rocket's trajectory, so all you have to do is point and click. You can see the range to your target just below the crosshair here. It is calculated in kilometers. Mark 82s. Now these are a bit different. To get the best use out of this weapon, I recommend coming in from an altitude of at least 1500 to 2000 meters and an angle of attack of at least 30 to 40. Now these bombs are most accurate in a dive. I also recommend keeping your airspeed below 500 when doing your dives, just so you can maneuver well and such. The CCIP marker is a bit different on this weapon. As you can see, it's a circle with a dot inside of it. The dot is what you want to be aiming with. Next up, we have the GBU-12s. These are best used also at a higher altitude to allow time for them to guide to the laser. As you can see, someone on the ground is lasing a target. The laser will show as a diamond with 4 lines coming out of it. All you have to do is simply point the CCIP marker of the GBU at that laze and drop. Now, like I said, it's best to have some altitude when doing this, and to also not be too close. Anything that can help the bomb find the laze and guide itself to it, you should be doing. You can also easily drop this thing from 6 kilometers away. I'm only doing it close to show in the video. Let's watch the impact. Now note, the GBU does take a while to get to the laze, because it does glide a lot. So let ground troops know to be patient until they see an impact. Next up, we have the AGM-65E, which is the Mavericks. Now remember, these are laser guided, so I'm going to turn in towards the target. Like before, I've got someone lasing at Tigers. So I'm going to point the aircraft in the direction of the laze. We've got a waypoint in the rough area of the laze. There's the laze. Point the aircraft at it, and I'm going to fire the Maverick. And then we're going to turn left and wait for the impact. Mavericks away, coming left, and we're going to switch to the drone that's lasing the target. Now for this demonstration, the Tigris is invincible, just so I can do it multiple times for the recording, but you will see the impact shortly. There's the impact. Now if this was the server, Tigris would be dead. And that's pretty much the Maverick. Now as you can see, the Maverick is great at doing long range attacks. It's a fast and quick missile that can easily deal with AA threats. So if someone's calling out a Tigris, try and get them to laze it and use the Maverick for it. It's the perfect weapon in that kind of scenario. 30mm Galway, here we go. This is the bread and butter of the A-10. Unfortunately, it's not the greatest in RHS, but it's still a very fun weapon to use when you can use it. So like always, you want to come in for a little bit of a shallow attack angle here. Just like the bombs, you want to put the circle of the CCIP onto the target, then just let loose. Like I said at the beginning of this video, Galway is very, very good at dealing with light armor. It's a very effective weapon when you are able to use it correctly. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Just bear in mind to spam those flares during and after every attack you do, just for that extra bit of safety. I have only showcased perfect scenarios in this video. It won't be as easy as it may look in this tutorial, but that's the fun of it, isn't it? I haven't touched the Maverick camera on purpose, as in most cases it's completely useless and just buggy, especially with RHS. But if you are really intrigued about that, then you can go visit the old A10 tutorials. I touched on it there. But yeah, hopefully this video helped you a little bit more than the original, and I sincerely hope it was easier to follow, because I did put a lot more work into this one, as you might be able to tell. I'm now going to go to bed because I've got work, so yeah, I'll see you boys in the next one.